Hey everyone, are you ready for this? We are diving deep into the world of manipulation today. Because you guys know, we love to get into those relationship dynamics. You specifically asked about this, so we had to check out this video, okay? It's called When a Woman is Using You, She'll Tell You These 7 Lies. And we're gonna break it all down. But before we even get started, we have to remind everyone, this isn't about attacking anyone. No, this is about arming you with the knowledge to protect yourselves. Think of it like relationship radar, helping you navigate those tricky waters.
And I think it's really important to remember that these patterns that we're going to be talking about today can really pop up in any relationship. They're not exclusive to any gender. At the core, a lot of these tactics really stem from insecurity or a need for control.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, you ready to jump in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so this source lays out 7 common lies, quote-unquote lies. Because we're using that term a little loosely here. It's not always straight-up deception.
Right.
It's more about hidden agendas, maybe what's left unsaid.
Yeah, recognizing those manipulation tactics.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and whether it's like a carefully constructed falsehood or just a little bend of the truth.
Okay, so lie number 1 is such a classic. And I feel like we've all heard this in movies in our own lives.
Yeah.
Ready for it? I'm not looking for anything serious right now. It's like the ultimate way to keep someone at arm's length, emotionally at least, but still maybe reap the benefits of their attention or even their wallet in some cases. Ouch.
Yeah, it's a way to kind of sidestep vulnerability and commitment, which can be a major red flag, right? Like the person on the receiving end of this might start bending over backwards trying to prove their worth,
Yeah.
which only strengthens that dynamic that's already a little off.
Yeah. And the source even talks about those frustrating situations where there's all these contradictions. Like she says she wants to keep it casual, but then throws a complete fit. If you even look at another person.
Oh, yeah.
What is that about?
Classic case of action speaking louder than words, right?
Yeah.
So they might say one thing, but their behavior whispers something totally different.
Yeah, it's like their words are saying freedom, but their behavior is like control.
Exactly. Yeah, it's about keeping their options open while keeping you as a backup plan.
Oh, that's brutal. Okay, that was a tough one to hear. But let's move on to lie number 2. And this one, I feel like, especially in our hyper-connected world,
Yeah.
it's so easy to use this one. I'm just really busy right now.
Oh, yeah.
We've all been there.
We all have our moments.
Right.
Yeah.
But this source is claiming that this is a go-to for manipulators.
Yeah.
To kind of justify that inconsistent communication.
Right. And I always say, being busy is not inherently a bad thing. We all have crazy schedules.
Right.
But you want to pay attention to those patterns, right?
Yeah.
Is it always a case of terrible timing, or are they just generally unavailable when it comes to really putting in the effort?
Right, and the source even talks about that social media contradiction.
Oh, yeah.
They're swamped for weeks on end. No time for dates, no time for texting back. But then suddenly they're posting photos from a music festival.
Yeah, where did that come from?
Right. It's okay. Makes you wonder.
Makes you think, right?
It all boils down to priorities, I guess.
It really does, yeah. If someone is consistently prioritizing other commitments over you,
Yeah.
it's a sign that, you might not rank as high as you deserve.
Okay, that one stings a little, but you got to hear this next one.
Okay.
This one is a classic, and I'm curious to hear your take on it. You're such a good friend. Ouch. The friend zone.
The dreaded friend zone. It's a way to deflect that romantic interest, But they're still reaping the benefits of the emotional support and closeness, right? So you still get that connection, just not the romance.
It's so true. And the source even points out how this often happens when, someone is comfortable doing all the, quote-unquote, couple-y things,
Yeah.
movie nights, dinners. But the second you try to, DTR, define the relationship,
Yeah.
bam, friend zone,
Yep. They enjoy the perks without the commitment.
facts. Okay,
Yeah.
here's another one. I'm not like other girls.
Ooh, okay. Interesting.
What do you think about that one?
I mean, while seemingly flattering on the surface,
Right.
because it's oh, you're so special, but it's often used to excuse demanding behavior.
It's like they're trying to say that, I'm special, so the rules don't apply to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They don't have to hold themselves to the same standards as everyone else.
The source was even saying, this is something that's often used to explain away inconsistency. Maybe even, flirting with other people. It's oh, well, I'm not like other girls.
Right. Shifting that blame, avoiding accountability. And the thing is, healthy relationships are built on that mutual respect and understanding, not on feeling superior than the other person.
Preach. I love it. All right, what about this one? I don't usually do this.
Ooh, that's a good one. I feel like this one pops up early in a relationship, or when there's like that power imbalance going on.
Yeah.
It's like they're letting you in on a little secret just for you.
Right. But the source points out that, like, this often comes with, like, strings attached. It's like they're letting you in on this little secret, but really it's to lower your guard, to make you more susceptible to, like, whatever it is they're about to ask of you.
Exactly. Yeah, you're more likely to do it if it's like a special occasion, you know?
Oh, it's like manipulation disguised as a compliment.
There you go.
Sneaky, sneaky. Okay, getting into, like, the relationship Bayview feels here. I'm still healing from my last relationship.
Oh, this is a tricky one. This one's a tricky one because it can be genuine.
Right.
People do need time to heal.
Totally.
But it can also be used to avoid intimacy and deflect moving things forward.
Yeah, so how do you tell the difference? Because that is tough.
That's a great question. It's really about observing their actions. Are they genuinely putting in that work, to heal and move on? Or are they using their past as a crutch?
So it's about those actions again, looking for those patterns.
Exactly.
Okay, and last but not least, I feel like this one is a head scratcher. I'm just not good at relationships.
This one is often said with like a dose of self-deprecation, which can be so disarming because
Yeah.
it's like, oh, they're so self-aware, but they're setting that bar so low.
Right, they're already like, don't expect too much.
Exactly, yeah. You're going to be disappointed if you do.
The source even mentioned that this can lead to the other person, like overcompensating.
Oh, yeah.
Always trying to be like, no, you are good at relationships. Look how good we are together.
Prove them wrong, yeah, exactly. Which can be like so emotionally draining,
Exhausting. So we've heard all about these 7, like, potentially manipulative tactics,
Mhm.
but how do we protect ourselves? Like, what are some practical steps? That's where your expertise comes in. What can someone do if they encounter this kind of behavior?
Well, I think it all starts with awareness. Just by tuning into this deep dive, you're already ahead of the game because you're starting to recognize these tactics.
It's true.
It's like learning to spot a counterfeit bill. Once you know the signs, you're less likely to be fooled.
Knowledge is power, for sure. But what about, like, those gut feelings? Sometimes you just get a weird vibe, and you
Mhm.
can't quite put your finger on it. What do you do with that?
Absolutely. Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is.
Okay.
Don't dismiss those red flags, even if they have a seemingly plausible explanation.
That's easier said than done, though.
Right.
Especially when you're already, like, emotionally invested
Yeah,
and you really want the relationship to work out.
totally. Our emotions can definitely cloud our judgment. And that's why establishing strong boundaries is super important. Know your worth, communicate your needs clearly, and honestly, don't be afraid to walk away from any situation that feels unhealthy or disrespectful.
It's about setting those deal breakers and sticking to them, even when it's tough. What about those situations where you're not quite sure if it's, like, full-blown manipulation or just, a communication breakdown? How do you tell the difference?
That's a great question. I think that's where, again, that open and honest communication is so key. If you're noticing these patterns that are bothering you, bring them up to the person in a calm, non-accusatory way.
Okay.
Just explain how these behaviors make you feel and see if they're willing to, work on things.
So don't shy away from those tough conversations.
Yeah.
But what if they just, like, deny it? Or even worse, they try to turn it around and blame you?
Another red flag.
Mm-hmm.
A healthy relationship involves two people who are willing to take responsibility for their actions and work together to, resolve those conflicts. So if someone is constantly deflecting blame, refusing to acknowledge your feelings, it's a sign that maybe that relationship needs a serious reassessment.
Yeah, it's a two-way street for sure.
Yeah.
This is all such great advice. But it just occurred to me that, like, we've been talking about this whole time, how to spot when someone else is manipulating us. But what about the flip side? Like, how can we make sure that we're not engaging in manipulative behavior, even unintentionally,
That's such a good question. It's a question we should all be asking ourselves. It starts with self-awareness, right? Are we coming from a place of authenticity and vulnerability in our relationships? Or are we, trying to control the situation? Or even control the other person? Are we being respectful of their boundaries, their needs? Or are we trying to pressure them into doing things that they're not comfortable with?
Those are some deep questions.
Yeah.
It's so easy to, like, fall into those patterns, I think,
Yeah.
without even realizing it. Especially maybe if we've experienced manipulation ourselves in the past.
Absolutely. Our past experiences, especially those early formative relationships, can significantly impact how we approach relationships as adults.
Oh, interesting.
So if we've been on the receiving end of manipulation, we might unconsciously repeat those patterns, either as the manipulator or the manipulated.
It's like we're learning from what we know.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a thought-provoking point. So how can we break those cycles then?
Yeah.
And create healthier relationship patterns?
Therapy can be incredibly helpful in those situations.
Yeah.
It's a safe and supportive space to, really explore those relationship patterns, understand where those patterns originated, and develop healthier ways of interacting with others.
It's like hitting the reset button on those unhealthy habits.
Exactly.
I love that.
Yeah.
And speaking of healthy habits, what about self-care? How does that play into all of this?
Self-care is crucial when we prioritize our own well-being, right? Physically, emotionally, mentally. We're less likely to seek validation or fulfillment from external sources.
Like filling our own cups first, so we're not looking to other people to do it for us.
Exactly. When we feel confident and secure in ourselves, we're less likely to tolerate bad behavior or settle for less than we deserve in our relationships. And we're also better equipped to set those healthy boundaries and walk away from those situations that no longer serve us.
It all comes back to knowing our worth. This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I've learned so much about, recognizing manipulation tactics, setting healthy boundaries, and I think most importantly, doing that inner work to become more self-aware and create those healthier relationship patterns. Where do we even go from here? I feel like there's so much more to unpack.
Yeah, and it's like we always say, the more we talk about this stuff, the less taboo it becomes, and the more empowered we all feel to actually create those healthier, happier relationships.
I love that.
Yeah.
You remember, it's not about pointing fingers or placing blame. It's about understanding those dynamics, taking responsibility,
Yeah.
and really working towards creating a more conscious and compassionate dating world for everyone.
Yes, preach. I love that. Okay, so we've spent all this time unpacking these manipulative tactics. For our listeners who are maybe realizing like, oh wow, I've been on the receiving end of this, what advice do you have for healing moving forward? Because it can be such a blow to your self-esteem to realize, wait, I've been manipulated. Yeah, it can really rock your world. It's important to acknowledge those feelings, like hurt, betrayal, anger. Don't minimize those emotions.
Yeah.
Allow yourself to grieve the relationship for what it was, not what you had hoped it would be.
Give yourself permission to feel all the feels.
Right.
And then what? What comes next?
And then you focus on rebuilding that self-worth, right? Remember all the amazing qualities that you bring to the table. Remind yourself that you deserve to be treated with respect, honesty, and kindness.
It's like that saying, treat others how you want to be treated, but turn it inward.
There you go. Exactly.
Love that.
Yeah.
And of course, never hesitate to lean on your support system.
Right.
Talk to your friends, your family, a therapist.
Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with those loving, supportive people that can make such a difference in the healing process.
Absolutely.
Community is key. And those open conversations, with your friends, can also help you, maybe spot some of those red flags in the future. Because sometimes, it takes an outside perspective
For sure.
to be like, are you sure he's just busy?
Are you sure about that?
Or is there something else going on?
Yeah.
It's true. And like they say, hurt people hurt people.
Right.
The more we understand these patterns, the better we become at breaking those cycles.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power. By understanding these dynamics, we empower ourselves to create those healthier, more fulfilling relationships that we all deserve.
Yes. On that note, on that empowering note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive.
Okay.
We've covered so much today, from those 7, common manipulation tactics, to the importance of self-awareness, healthy boundaries, the power of communication.
It's been such a pleasure chatting with you about all this.
Likewise, this has been so insightful. So to our amazing listeners out there, thank you for joining us on this journey.
Yeah.
We hope this deep dive has been insightful, empowering, and maybe even a little bit entertaining. Remember, you are worthy of love and respect. Never, ever settle for anything less. Until next time, take care.